I'm retired now, but there are still nights when I wake up drenched in sweat, my hand reaching for a gun that isn't on my belt anymore. I've seen suicides, murders, crashes, things I can't unsee. But the one call that still haunts me happened in 2009 at a middle school in northern New Jersey. It was late October, gray skies, rain hammering the windshield, the kind of day that makes everything look colorless. Dispatch came over the radio saying there was a possible intruder at Brookvale Middle. They said a man had been seen slipping in through a maintenance store near the gym. I remember the dispatcher's voice trembling, which wasn't normal. I was 5 minutes away, parked near a diner. I grabbed my coffee, dumped it out the window, and sped down the slick road with my lights flashing blue against the rain. When I pulled into the school's back lot, the first thing I saw was a tan cargo van, engine off, driver's door wide open. The interior light was still on, rain soaking the seats. I radioed it in, gave the partial plate number, 9KH something, and stepped out, one hand on my weapon. The school was dead quiet, no alarms, no kids screaming, just the wind and the rain. The back door was slightly ajar, the kind with a red emergency exit sticker peeling at the edges. I pushed it open and stepped into the dark hallway that led to the gym and locker rooms. The smell hit me first, metal, sweat, and something else like wet pennies. I switched on my flashlight and swept it across the tiles. The power was off, emergency lights glowing red every 20 feet. I called out, "Police, anyone here?" No answer, just the steady hum of the ventilation system and the rain hammering the roof. When I reached the gym doors, I noticed a streak of muddy footprints leading down toward the locker rooms. They weren't from sneakers, too big, too heavy. Work boots, maybe. I followed them. The deeper I went, the louder the air vent seemed to get, until I realized it wasn't just the vent. Beneath the hum was another sound, faint metal tapping, like fingernails on a locker door. I announced myself again. "Police, step out where I can see you." Nothing. The tapping stopped. Then another noise, a shuffling behind the rows of lockers. I aimed my flashlight that way. The beam caught the edge of a sweatshirt sleeve vanishing behind a corner. I raised my weapon. "Don't move," I shouted. Silence. I moved down the aisle, slow, gun steady. The light bounced off metal locker doors with little dents and scratches. I came to the end of the row and turned the corner. Nobody. Just an open locker door swinging slightly. Then something to my left whispered, no louder than a breath. "He's still here," it came from inside one of the lockers. I nearly dropped the flashlight. "Who said that?" I demanded, stepping closer. A child's voice, trembling. "Please don't let him find me again." I holstered my weapon and yanked open the locker. A boy, maybe 11, was crammed inside, eyes wide, face wet with tears. His lip was bleeding. I whispered, "You're safe, kid. It's okay." He shook his head violently. "He's still here." I looked around. Empty. "I saw him," the boy stammered. "He said he needed help with his dog. Then he pulled a knife. I bit him and ran. He said if I screamed, he'd..." The lights flickered. Once, twice, then went out completely. I heard something move at the far end of the locker room. Slow footsteps on tile. I drew my gun again and turned off my flashlight for a moment. In the dark, I could hear him breathing. Deep, calm, deliberate. "Drop whatever you're holding," I ordered. My voice echoed down the hall. No response, just that breathing. Closer now. I turned the flashlight back on. Nothing. Just rows of lockers and my own shadow against the wall. The boy whimpered. I turned back toward him and whispered, "Stay quiet." Then I moved toward the bathroom door. It was open, just a crack. The smell coming from inside made my stomach twist like old blood and bleach. I nudged it open with the barrel of my gun. In the center of the floor was a janitor's cart tipped over. One of the mops was missing. There were smudges of something dark on the tiles, leading to the far stall. As I stepped closer, the stall door creaked slightly. Someone was inside. "Come out with your hands up." The door swung open. Nothing. Just the missing mop handle, snapped in half, soaked in blood at the end. I backed out of the bathroom, my heart pounding so hard it made my vision shake. Then I heard the boy again, but his voice was different, too calm. "He's behind you." I spun around. Nobody. "Kid," I said, "we're getting out of here." I reached for the locker door. It was closed. I hadn't closed it. I pulled it open again. Empty. The boy was gone. I ran to the hall, shouting for backup. My radio crackled, but no one answered. Static filled the speaker like a whispering crowd. And then music. Soft, tinny, coming from somewhere in the gym. A children's song. Something about cleaning up, playing on loop. I followed it, every muscle screaming not to. The gym doors were half open. My flashlight beam swept across the bleachers, the basketball court, the abandoned volleyball net, and there, in the center of the floor, was a white sheet. Underneath it, something the size of a person. I stepped closer, lifted a corner of the sheet. Nothing underneath, just the faint outline of dust where someone had been lying. Then my radio came back to life. Unit 7, do you copy? Backup's pulling in now. I nearly collapsed with relief. I'm inside. There's a child missing, possible abductor still on site. I moved back toward the exit, keeping the beam forward. I was halfway there when something grabbed my ankle. I looked down. A hand, small, pale, sticking out from under the bleachers. I crouched and shined the light in. The boy was wedged between the seats, eyes wide, shaking uncontrollably. "He's in the walls," he whispered. Before I could respond, the metal locker doors from the hallway all slammed shut at once, echoing like thunder through the gym. The sound of footsteps, many, not one, came running down the hall. I aimed at the doorway, finger on the trigger. Then the lights flickered back on, and backup burst through 3 officers with guns drawn. I shouted, "Suspect might still be in the building." They spread out. One of them, Sergeant Lawson, went pale when he saw the boy. "That's Eric Marsh," he said quietly. "He's been missing for 2 years." The kid didn't even look at him. He just kept staring toward the locker room door. They took him to the hospital. He was dehydrated but alive. When we swept the building, we found the vent cover behind the lockers unscrewed, large enough for a grown man to crawl through. Inside was a narrow maintenance tunnel that led all the way to the boiler room. We found sleeping bags, half-eaten food, empty cans, and a stack of photos. Photos of children, some recent, some decades old. In the corner of one of the pictures, written in marker, were the words, "They never leave." No one ever found the man. Not the van, not fingerprints, not DNA. But here's what keeps me awake. A year later, the school was demolished to build a new facility. During construction, the workers found something buried beneath the old gym floor. Rows of lockers, half-rusted, sealed shut with bolts. Inside each one was a pair of children's shoes, neatly lined up. Sometimes I drive past where the school used to be. There's a new playground there now, bright and full of kids laughing. But when the wind's right, I swear I can still hear metal tapping. Faint and patient, like fingers against locker doors. And every now and then, when I close my eyes, I still see that locker swinging open, empty, and I know that whatever was down there, it wasn't finished. I was 17 when this happened, senior year last semester. My high school was old, not classic architecture old, but built before modern safety codes old. It had 4 floors, but the 4th wasn't even used. Everyone called it the sublevel. It used to be the boiler maintenance floor decades ago before the school renovated the upper levels. The only way to access it was through a locked metal door at the end of the south hallway, past the janitor's storage closets. Most people didn't even know it existed. Teachers didn't mention it. It wasn't on any map. But the janitors had keys, and the rumor was that the sublevel stretched under the whole school, connecting to forgotten tunnels that led who knows where. I didn't think much about it until the night of the lockdown. Our school had been hosting a late astronomy club meeting that Thursday. It was around 7:30 p.m. dark outside, the building mostly empty except for our small group and the night janitors. The club was held in the old science wing, one of the creepier areas of the school. The lights there always flickered, and the walls smelled faintly like metal and mold. We were setting up telescopes by the windows when the intercom crackled. "Attention all staff and students. The building is now on lockdown. Please remain in your rooms." At first, we thought it was a drill. But then, the teacher's expression changed. She locked the door, shut off the lights, and told us to get down behind the desks. No one spoke for a minute. Then, from somewhere down the hall, we heard the first noise, metal scraping against tile. It wasn't loud, but it was sharp. Someone or something was dragging something heavy across the floor. The teacher whispered for everyone to stay put. Then she moved toward the door window, crouched low, and peeked through the glass. I could barely make out her silhouette, but I saw her freeze. A second later, she backed away from the door and mouthed the words, "He's right there." No one moved. My chest felt like it was filled with glass. We sat there for what felt like hours, listening to the faint hum of the building until the sound outside changed. Now it wasn't metal scraping, it was footsteps. Slow, deliberate, coming closer. The teacher's phone buzzed, the sound loud enough to make all of us jump. She scrambled to silence it, but by then whoever was outside must have heard. A single knock echoed on the classroom door. Then another. Then 3 more, slow and steady, like whoever was on the other side was testing if someone would answer. The teacher motioned for us to stay absolutely quiet, but the knocking didn't stop. It just changed rhythm, faster, more impatient. Then it stopped completely. After that, we heard the unmistakable sound of metal jingling, keys. Someone was trying to unlock the door. Our teacher rushed to the door, pressing her shoulder against it. She whispered, "There's no way anyone should have keys to this room." Then, silence. I thought maybe the person had gone away until I heard something new. A dull thud, followed by the squeal of metal. Not from the door, from the vent above us. A rectangular ceiling vent. Its cover was shaking. One of the screws popped out and fell onto the floor. Everyone silently backed up toward the opposite wall. I remember one kid whispering, "That's not funny," like he thought someone from another class was playing a prank. The teacher stood frozen, staring at the vent as it flexed. Then quiet. No movement. No sound. After a minute, she whispered, "Everyone, follow me. We're leaving." She grabbed the keys from her pocket and led us out into the hallway, which was completely dark except for the faint red glow of the emergency exit signs. As soon as we stepped out, we saw it. The janitor's closet door was wide open. Inside, a set of old keys hung from a hook, but the hook next to it, labeled sublevel access, was empty. We hurried past, moving toward the main exit, but the motion sensor lights didn't come on like they usually did. The hall stayed dark. That's when I realized the scraping sound had returned, somewhere far behind us, echoing through the halls. We started running. The teacher led us down a side stairwell toward the gym. She swiped her keycard for the door, but the lock light stayed red. "No power," she whispered. Then from below came the faint sound of footsteps again. Only now they weren't echoing randomly, they were in the stairwell, coming up. We bolted back into the hallway and ducked into the nearest classroom. The teacher locked the door and motioned for us to get down again. Outside, the footsteps stopped. Then came a low, dragging noise along the hallway floor, like something was being pulled. After a few moments, there was a faint tapping sound against the classroom door. Not knocking this time, just the tip of something metallic tapping slowly, rhythmically. Tap, tap, then silence. Someone whispered, "Maybe it's the police." But the teacher shook her head. They'd announced themselves. We waited. My heartbeat was pounding so hard it hurt my ribs. I could see my breath fogging in the air. The temperature in the room was dropping fast. Then, faintly, we heard the intercom click on. Static. Then a distorted voice. "Please report to the sublevel." No one breathed. The intercom was supposed to be disabled during lockdowns. The teacher whispered, That wasn't an admin voice." The voice repeated, louder, "Please report to the sublevel." And then laughter, short, choppy, like whoever or whatever was speaking couldn't quite mimic human emotion. That's when something hit the door, hard. The glass window cracked instantly. A shadow passed across it, and for a second I saw part of a face, if you could call it that. Pale, gaunt, too thin to be normal. The teacher told us to run. We sprinted out the emergency exit on the far side of the room through the adjacent hallway. It led toward the back maintenance area of the school. The lights there were completely dead. The only thing guiding us was the faint blue glow from an exit sign ahead. We burst through the final door and found ourselves in the sub-level hallway. No one said a word. We didn't mean to go there, it just happened. The hallway was lined with rusted pipes, and the walls were covered in patches of moisture and black mold. It was colder down there, the air thick and still. At the far end was a heavy steel door slightly open, light flickering from within. The teacher told us to stay put, but JJ, one of the seniors, moved toward the door. He called out, "Hello? Is someone there?" No response. He took another step. The light inside flickered again, and I saw something standing behind the door. It wasn't moving, just watching. JJ froze. Then the door creaked open a little wider, revealing a figure standing barefoot on the concrete floor. It was wearing what looked like an old, torn school uniform. Its arms hung at its sides like broken branches. Its head tilted too far to one side, like the neck couldn't hold it up. The thing moved, slowly at first, dragging its feet forward, then faster. The teacher screamed for us to run. We turned back toward the stairwell, but the lights above began to flicker violently like the power was surging. The sound of static filled the hall again. The intercom somewhere deep underground whispering, "Don't leave yet." The teacher shoved us through the stairwell door and slammed it shut. We ran up the stairs 2 steps at a time until we hit the main level again. The halls were still dark, but faint red and blue lights flashed through the front doors, police cars. The teacher waved and yelled for help as we reached the front lobby. Officers burst through the entrance, weapons drawn, shouting commands. We all collapsed on the floor, shaking and crying. When they cleared the building, they found the janitor's keys on the floor by the sub-level door. But when the officers went down there, the hallway we described wasn't there. The blueprints they checked later showed no rooms under the science wing at all. The sub-level, according to the school records, had been sealed off and filled with concrete 30 years earlier after a gas leak accident killed a maintenance worker. The next day, school was closed indefinitely. No one was allowed back in for a week. When we returned, the janitor's closet was welded shut, and the door to the south hallway had been replaced with a solid concrete wall. None of us ever spoke about what we saw. But sometimes, when I drive past the school at night, I swear I can still see a faint light glowing from behind that wall. And if you listen closely on quiet, windless nights, you can still hear the old intercom whisper through the bricks, "Please report to the sub-level."